Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Get Jashed. Today I'm very excited to have with me Quiana LaChe. Quiana is joining me from Virginia Beach, Virginia. So Quiana is an intuitive transformation strategist for the woman ready to claim her crown, which I love. She's created online courses such as Take the Throne, a mastermind experience to help female entrepreneurs create sustainable success. And the Royal Vault, which is a free resource vault she's put together to help shift blocks in the subconscious mind, as well as video courses to help participants build their brand and presence online, and a whole bunch of other value that Quiana has put together. Quiana has been a refreshing presence in my newsfeed for the last month or two, dropping wisdom around the importance of doing what lights you up over a prescribed cookie cutter solution or method, and the power of expressing yourself fully from your heart, mind, and soul, and the fact that we are all evolving, learning human beings. So thank you so much for joining me today, Quiana. I really appreciate it.
I need you to write all my bios.
I'll send it through.
I was like, yes, I live. Thank you so
look
much.
at all you've done, like all of that work. Sometimes it's nice to have that fed back to you and gone, oh yeah, actually, thank you. I have done all of that. So
Yes.
yeah, amazing. So thank you for joining me. It's always nice when I get to connect with people beyond my my little realm here. So we are speaking to each other from different days entirely, which is nice.
Ooh,
Wednesday will be nice. It will be a nice start, so I can let you know that. What drew me to you and your work, Quiana, was just how openly you share, and how you do share from your heart. So this will sound a little bit weird as well. I was watching another one of your videos yesterday, and I just had these moments of like little joy bubbles and like fondness for you, just because I could see that light, like you were just completely you. And it's a big part, I feel like, because these conversations are about leadership and communication. I feel like it's a big part in how we show up in leadership and how we communicate, is letting ourselves show up as us, and I feel like you do that so well. So just know that in your little joy bubbles that you have when you share in your videos, they're being experienced as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
wanted to start with maybe like an easy one. Coming into semantics. So in one of your videos, I noticed you, because you were referring to your coffee mug and you had rich on the coffee mug, and you were talking about rich, and you're like, well, actually it's wealth, isn't it? And there's just semantics in our languaging and our communication there. So can you share just a little bit more about your approach around the language that you consciously use in your work, or that you've learnt to consciously use?
Oh goodness. If that wasn't a journey all in this. It's funny because like that same coffee mug, I have the pillow on my bookcase. There's like rich rock star right there. I think it's one of those things where we don't even realize how bad we are with our words until we've created awareness. Which is why I always say like awareness is like that first step. And I think if we all just like take a step back to middle school, like let's go back, right? I had a friend that she was like super thin, pretty girl, super thin. And she would say things like, oh my gosh, I'm so fat. And then I'd be like, Heather, if you say it again, I'm gonna fight you. Because that's the kind of friend that I was. Like I was gonna beat the nonsense out of you lovingly.
Everyone needs a friend like that, I think.
Yes. And it's like, we've been doing this to ourselves, like almost our entire lives, where we say things about ourselves and we don't realize that we're actually kind of coming from more of a wounded place, or like it could be something that someone said to us and then we try to make light of it. So I'll share like personally, like my parents used to say things to me like, oh, you're so book smart, but you lack common sense. And so as a subconscious defense mechanism, I would say that. Like if I said something that was a little like ditzy or something, or if I did something that was like a little ditzy, I gotta be like, oh, I'm book smart, but I just lack common sense. And it's like, no, I'm repeating the cycle, And as I just started to learn more about the words that we use, I really started to make like a really big conscious effort. Like we might do something and we'd be like, oh, I'm so stupid. No, you're not.
No.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You made a mistake. you had an accident, but you're not stupid. It's like these like words are spells, and it's like what you speak is what you create as your truth. And so even like you said with like rich, and I'm just like, oh, well, I don't want to just be rich. Like I want to be wealthy. Okay, let's make that like the conscious focus. Or
Yeah.
like my husband can't stand me because of this, but like, like we don't say try. Well, I say we don't say try. He still says it because it's like you're either going to do something or you're not, right? And it's like removing the word try is what forces you to start leaning into make your yes mean yes and your no mean no. So it's like you're either going to do something or you're not. It's not, I'm going to try to do that. Like, yes, I have time in my schedule to do this, or no, I can't do this today, or I can't do this right now. Right. So it's like being able to really like tap in more into your power. So we took out try, um, can't in a lot of instances, um, should and shouldn't in a lot of instances. So I try not to tell people, I don't tell people what they should and should not do.
Yeah.
Even when like wanting to give advice, because that's not my place. It's not my place to tell someone what they should do. Oh, you should. I recommend that
You might like
you
this.
might like this.
Yeah.
You could check this out,
Yeah.
But again, it's once you start becoming so much more, again, like you said, like consciously aware of these words, it shifts a lot of things, a lot of perspectives for you, and like even how you're treating yourself, how you're treating others, how you're showing up for yourself and for others. So words are so powerful. I mean, like it's like we know that, but then it's like there's power. Who is it that has said that? Was it Napoleon Hill? I can't remember. I
Yeah,
read that book
it
so
says a
long
lot
ago.
about words and the languaging we use, like in um, 16 Success Habits, that one, like the bigger, thicker version that Think and Grow Rich was drawn from. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, he basically says like, well, I'm paraphrasing now, but words are like our self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as we say things like, oh, I can't do that, then we make it, because our brains, even like, because our souls and our brains and everything is connected. It's all working
Mm-hmm.
together. It's not one thing and then the other, I feel anyway. But it sort of, in essence, our brains are always trying to find what's correct for us.
Yep.
Like, if it says something, it's like, okay, let me make sure, because the brains always need to be right for safety, for
Mm-hmm.
survival. So it's like, okay, let me find all the instances where that's the truth.
Yep.
So if I say, oh, I'm an idiot, it's going to be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, like this time over here, and this time, and this time, and this time, and this time, until I start believing it. And then I just start, instead of rising and stepping up into, oh, how can I learn? Instead of just
Mm-hmm.
keep making that same mistake, I just sort of get to sit in that self-fulfilling that self-fulfilled place of, oh, I'm an idiot, and now I'm just going to play it up because it makes me feel safer to be in that rather than actually, say that I'm not or grow.
Yeah. And it really helps with, in such a simple way, like raising your vibrations for manifestation. And it's so interesting because I've been playing with this for the last, 3 weeks, ever since I randomly launched a candle business. And, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, no sales yet. And I'm like repeatedly like checking. I'm like, oh no. And I'm like looking for the proof. Oh my God, damn it, come in. And then like I stop and I just breathe for a second and I'm like, the sales are coming. Then I just like walk away. Like I'm just like, the sales are coming. And I just let that be what I know is going to be true. And every time I've done that before I went to bed, a sale has come through. It's like, it could be that easy.
Yeah. You're kind of getting out of your own way, and instead of like holding tightly to it and going, yes, this, you, I see that you lead from this perspective of trusting your vision and just trusting the feeling of your work rather than, and this would drive people, I'm generalizing here, but it will drive like people like accountants nuts, you know, like people who are very like, I need to see the numbers, I need to see the proof and all of this. You lead your life from this position of trusting that, oh, making candles feels really fulfilling and really enriching for me, and it feels expansive. I can't tell you why, but here it is, and here they are, and they're beautiful. And then, oh, here's the sales as well. Oh, look at that. Like
I was that accountant type. I'm a Virgo.
yeah.
So yeah, super analytical, all about the organization and all of that. I got on my own nerves every day. Um, but even in that shift, it was me being able to take a look at how far I've come and then like what truly helped me get there. And it wasn't like that super, like the super masculine ways of doing things, because when I would do them, it's like, why is this not working for me? Da, 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 da. Like all the things. And then I thought back to times like even, you know, I used to be homeless, and like I remember going to bed and I had not eaten that day, and I just prayed. Like at that point I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, what else do you do?
So I prayed and I woke up to a sale. And that was the first time that had ever happened for me. And it wasn't because I set up some super complicated funnel. And it wasn't because I spent all day posting. Like it was, God, I'm trusting you. I know you're not going to let anything happen to me. Please, please let something happen for me. And then I went to bed. And ever since then, I'm just like, there's something there that I feel like isn't being tapped into. And that's why now my goal is bridging spirituality with the practicality. You know, where it's like you still got to do things, but it's like you gotta really tap in. And that's where, you know, even like your energy, it's like I don't like I've tried. I haven't tried. I have done, I've done live streams where it was like, you know, I had a coach and she was like, go ahead and outline it. And these are the questions that, you know, you want to ask, you know, before to help outline it and this, and that. And I did this for like a few days and I was just like, look, this is not working for me. But when I just get this divine intuitive hit, where I'm just like alone and just being with myself. And then as I talk to myself a lot in my head, don't tell nobody, they might have me committed.
Too. Probably there's people that don't, which is really strange for me, but yeah.
So I'll just be having like a conversation with myself in my head, and then like something will hit, and then it'll be like, do the live stream. And then I'll just like run in here And I will go for 45 minutes. No outline, no script. It's like, okay, now we need this release. And that's what tends to work best for me, as opposed to me trying to force these points out.
Yeah.
And it's so much more authentic. And it's the same thing that I would teach even my YouTube clients, where I'm just like, oh my goodness. When they would come to me, they'd be like, I spent 4 hours trying to record videos. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? That's not necessary. Like, I only record a video once. And what I would always tell them is, even if you have bullet points that the main points that you want to like go through, let it flow.
Mm-hmm.
Let it flow. Do not try to box it in. Why? Because we have the power of editing. So if you go off on a tangent that we do not need in the video, cut it out. But don't block the flow. Oh my goodness, don't block the flow.
I'm having so many epiphanies just listening to you, because it's the whole thing, the universe, like we are the universe expressing itself, right? So that's this whole, I don't know what word to use. It's not just an idea, it's a belief, it's a truth, like it's whatever it is for whoever it is. But when you were talking about just like letting it flow and not trying to block it in, and kind of like sharing about, just kind of like handing it over and be like, okay, just give me what I need for me, please. Like, it's almost like the universe doesn't want to be controlled by us. So our control issues are the universe letting us know that, like, that's not working. Like, it's just showing up as itself and going, well, I don't want to be controlled. It's like, well, the universe doesn't want to be controlled either. So it's just this balance of, oh, okay, so I guess that's how I can show up and trust, because if I know, like, if we look at the universe as us, but also as this whole presence and entity, if we know that we don't want to be controlled, then it helps us to understand that this other presence and entity probably doesn't want that either, and it flows better when we let go of that control.
Oh yeah. And I understand it's so difficult for so many people to like lean into that and to like truly trust. It was so interesting when my husband and I were getting married. When we were engaged, we wanted our pastor to marry us. He didn't, and we're going to get into that in a moment.
Yeah.
And there was this assessment test that they needed us to take. Now, my husband grew up in the church. Went to private Christian school, all the bougie Christian things that I guess people get to do. I did not grow up in church. And so when they were going over our results with us, they were like, Quiana scored like twice as high in faith than you did. And I thought that was just so interesting, because he had faith by being told to have faith. I had faith through experiences.
Yeah. Ooh.
And when you have the experiences, you just learn to trust more. So like even with our pastor, when we took our test, it was like 8 months before we got to meet with our pastor. Lord, I could finally talk about this without getting upset. So apparently he sat us down and he was looking at our results, and he was like, you guys, your results, these are about the worst results we've ever seen for a couple. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, you could ease up a little bit. Ease up. You ain't got to come at us like that. So, however, our church had like marital programs, and they were phenomenal, like great, like $12 to go, 12-week programs on like the 5 love languages and the nod, and you did exercises and stuff. So we as a couple were not the same at all 8 months later. However, our pastor didn't take time to get to know us, and that's his problem, not mine. However, after he sat us down and he said, I prayed on it. Okay. I'm not going to be able to marry you guys unless you push your wedding back 6 months. So that way you can meet with me and my wife. I was like, no. First of all, my wedding is like a month away. My daddy done paid for a lot already. No, no, no. And then I did my own prayer, and and it wasn't even that I was waiting for like the voice of God to come tell me like it's okay for you to get married. I had an inner knowing. And the ironic thing is we got married in November of last year.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you. Now count with me. Okay, November, December, January, February, March, April, May.
Yeah. Ah, 6 months.
6 months.
Huh.
Guess who wouldn't be having a wedding during quarantine?
Isn't that interesting? Oh, there's so much. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much I want to say. The whole story is amazing. Um, it. I guess the first thing is really just like good on you for not giving your power over to another person and letting another person.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't care who that is, right? Like what level of faith that person is. Like that person is not the boss of how you and your husband show up in
Mm-hmm.
and how you show up, how you communicate, even if you're completely different people. Sometimes that's amazing, right? Like it's just so
Yeah. That was the lesson. That was probably the biggest lesson was he's still a man.
yeah.
Like he's still human.
He's still
And
like
it has it doesn't matter what level of the church anybody's from, they will never, ever be able to connect with source
for you.
from exactly. So it's just like, no, 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 no. And then we were, I'm sure that you saw in that video, it was like, we were scammed. Like we get like I can't even be mad because they did a great job doing it, but I was like, I was so like ironically, like I was so calm about it. Like I was so calm and I was just like, honey, it's gonna work out.
Mm.
It's going to work out. And then again, just like living in the type of apartment that I used to journal about when I was homeless. Like every day I wake up and I'm just like so grateful because I'm like, how like how did I get here? Like, how? How?
Sense of gratitude that is special because it really comes from that place of, oh, I envisioned this. Like
Mhm.
something in me that knew, and I didn't understand why it was coming to me. I didn't understand what the hell it was all about. I didn't understand like how it was going to come about. Like nothing around it really made sense, but I knew. And you work through those moments of feeling like, well, I mean, I'm assuming because like you work through those moments of feeling crazy, right? Where you're like, am I delusional? Like what's happening? What do I do with it?
Right.
Yeah. Um, but there's a sense of gratitude that comes like when it does come about, because when it's a knowing that strong, it has to come about, right? So it's just like, oh, I led myself here because I trusted myself, and I trusted myself to choose the things in my life that were right for me because I knew that. Like there's this sense of that empowerment and inner leadership, which is where it all needs to start from, rather than acting from fear or from external anything or from what other people are telling you. That
Mm-hmm.
is on display there, and then you get to feel extra grateful for it because you're like, yeah, this is because it was my truth and it still is, and look at it now.
Yeah. And I always end up letting it go, which I didn't realize was a thing that I did because I forgot until we pulled up here. Because my husband was the one who had found this apartment because we took me off apartment duty since I found the one we got scammed for. So I'll take the back seat now. But when we right. So like when they finally let us in and we walked up to the master, the whole wall is a glass sliding door. And I walked in and I looked and I saw the bay right across the street from me. And I was just like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we were like searching, I wasn't like, let me pull up my old journal entries from 3 years ago and try to remember what this apartment that I wanted looked like. It was just like, it wasn't until I showed up that I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. Now, no, I'll take that back. I don't always let everything go. I
I
did get my Frenchie.
Yeah, I'm a Gemini on the cusp of Cancer, so I've got enough of like the emotional, like, oh, but this, like, I want this.
That was us getting our French bulldog. And it was like we had just gotten married and my husband, like, first of all, Frenchies are not cheap. Okay, they are not one of them little dogs you're gonna see in the Walmart parking lot in the box that says puppies for $50. We're not doing that with Frenchies. And I would not shut up. But I think with this, I poured so much emotion into that. Like, my husband said that I cried about it once, which I don't remember. But he was like, you literally were like, I just want a Frenchie, and you started crying. And I was like, oh Lord. I really wanted my little doggy. And we weren't even supposed to have a dog here. It was in our lease. Matter of fact, when we showed up to fill out our application, there was another couple here, military. So I was like, oh, great candidates, of course. But they had a cat.
Ooh.
And the lady was like, no pets. It said no pets. So it's like, my apartment. And so, but from there we were like, well, there was no way they would ever let us have a pet because like
Yeah.
homegirl was not having it. And then, saving for the Frenchie and, then thinking about where are we going to live, and we need to like move to be able to get the Frenchie. And then every day, I cut out a picture of a Frenchie and put it on a dresser. And every single day, I'm just like, I can't wait to get my little baby dog. I just can't wait. My little baby dog is going to be so cute. I was like, I want a black Frenchie and a white Frenchie and a blue Frenchie and a gray Frenchie. My husband's like, girl, shut up. And I'm just like, and I'm going to have all the Frenchies. And it's like, I was so emotionally invested in having that Frenchie. And somehow, after our wedding, I called my stepmom, I don't know what for, and she was just like, oh, by the way, me and your dad are having a house built. And I was just like, how you say that so casually? Like, y'all just be out here buying houses? Like, like not even like excited. Like, you're just like, oh yeah, we just bought a house yesterday. Like I just bought a new pair of shoes yesterday. Like, that's how it sounded, right? So I was just like, okay, congratulations. So my parents had an English bulldog and a French bulldog, which is why I have such a big love for bulldogs. And she was like, yeah, so you can come get Astro whenever. And I was like, we will be there tomorrow. And then my husband was able to swing it with the landlords. Like, I guess they wanted to know what our plans were going to be because we were done with our yearly lease and we're in a month to month. And I guess they love us so much they don't want us to go. And my husband was honest. He was like, look, Quiana's not going to stay here. She can't have a dog. Quiana is not staying here. So then they were like, she can have a dog.
Oh.
And we only had to pay $100 one time just for when we move out, they can bomb the house. So I got a free French bulldog and I only had to pay $100 to let it live here. And I was like, that's how manifestation works. Yes. And I have my little baby dog.
Oh.
And I'm just so happy.
Do you think
I'm
that's
really
know the feeling? Do you think there's a difference in doing something like just jumping 2 feet, like completely in and just doing it with your whole heart, even if it hasn't happened yet? Like there is a difference between that and kind of just half-assing it, right?
I think that you kind of have to do it with your whole heart. Because if you're not, then you're not trusting yourself.
Mm,
It's just like when I, again, started selling candles, it was just like I heard a voice and it said, ask people if they want it.
mm.
And like I did.
Yeah.
And then like and then I put up like this like basic checkout page with like no pictures. Like notice like nobody knows how many ounces the candle is and like the scent or like what the burnt. Like if you went to Bath and Body Works, you would get all the information. You can get none of that from me. And they just kept selling. They just kept, but it was just like, I'm gonna put it out there and the people are gonna buy it. And yeah, and then that's exactly what happened. And I built this while people were making orders.
Mm,
I didn't even plan for it. Like the videos I watched were like, you should probably have about $500 to start your candle business. I was like, I got 12. No, so like as the orders were coming in, like the people at Michael's was probably tired of me. Amazon was probably tired of seeing me. Like, it's like just, but I like just trusted that even as I was doing this, like I was like, and more orders are gonna come in, and more orders are gonna come in, and I'm gonna make all the candles, and my candles are amazing, and my candles are the best, and everybody should order my candles. Like that's like just like trusting and just knowing, and just going like all in, because I didn't have like a pre-launch. Like some people will say even with product-based businesses, like you should pre-launch your products and then you should take that money and then go get what you need. And I was just like, no. We gonna do this as we go. And I know and trust that it's all gonna work out the way that it divinely will work out. I can't even say how it should work out. I just know that it will as we're doing this. And then we're gonna have fun doing it.
yeah. Yes, just all the yes. It's there's just so much yes in this. It's I had something I was going to ask or say, um, and then it just got overtaken by yes, exactly. Like this is how it should be. I like, and that's what right. It's not even your what you might call like your main business, right? Like your main work that you do isn't candles. Like that's just the fun. Like that's just they're really pretty, but like that's just that was just a thing that came to you because it fills you with joy.
But it could be,
But
and I'm open to that, like, and that's the thing. It's just like, where is this path and where is this journey taking me? Perhaps this is the thing that is filling a space that I didn't know needed to be filled. Where again, my whole thing is like shedding all of like those paradigms and everything that you've been told, like you have to have the 3-month coaching package. Not nobody tells you to have the 2-month coaching package or the 4-month. It's got to be 3. 3 is the number. Everybody has a 3-month coaching package. If it's not 3 months, you're doing it wrong. Nobody's gonna buy your shit. you know, and it's just like, I don't desire to do that. I don't. Like I really honestly and truly, I don't desire to be on calls all day. That what? No. I want to be laid up on the couch watching like funny gameplay YouTube videos with my dog and stuffing my face with nachos. And if that's what I want to do, then that's what I'm going to do. And having something like this is an extension one of my creativity, which I mean, how much creativity do we really get to have with our coaching business?
mm,
If we're being honest,
yeah,
and it's like, if I can have fun doing this and really express like, I just had an intuitive hit for a whole other candle I want to do now. oh
Woo!
it should be gold. mm. Write that down. I need my pen.
Write that down.
Live right here. Intuitive hits coming in. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay.
That
So
really well into the next question I really want to ask you, which is what's the biggest thing you notice the more that you do speak your truth or live your truth?
what I've noticed is you kind of create this energetic bubble of don't fuck with me.
I love.
I I I watch people on the Books of Faces, and I see where like they have people that just come on their posts and they just start shit with them. And I was like, honey, I don't ever really have that. And it's not because I like appear to be like a really mean person.
Mm,
It's this energetic boundary that I've been able to create for myself. And I think it's because I do speak. Like some people you see like they're speaking their truth, but then it's like, really? Are you really? Because even the people that I see that say that they're speaking their truth, like they're still dealing with people kind of coming at them, and it's like, are you really though? Are you really? Are you really? Are you that confident in yourself and what you're saying and what you're doing that like people can just feel like ain't no point in even fucking with that?
mm.
You know, it's like, let's just go ahead and, because I trolled a racist yesterday. Like, people don't do that. And it was so fun. And I was so entertained. Like, I was just laughing. Like, I was just sitting on the couch, just giggling. I was like, I wish more people would do this.
Is that the one
Like,
you sent through your PayPal details? And you were like,
yes. Like, I was trolling. It was so fun. It was so fun. And then but I showed my husband, I was like, honey, if you read through this, I was like, this is how you diffuse
mm,
something like this. Everybody jumps to the defense. And when we're all defensive as hell, we're all trying to throw the hardest brick we can to bust through somebody else's wall.
yep.
Where with him, I was just trolling and being so lighthearted. Like he was just like, have you been that traumatized? I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I have. And then by the end of it, like he's like he has nothing left to really like say. But even the comment that I made to the lady who apologized because she felt like because she shared my post, he came. And I will stand true to this. I'm not for blocking people just because, one, I feel like there's something that he said that I could take away from. And I think that also helps with you being able to really lean into trusting yourself. When you are capable of being able to take someone's opposing view and not get super defensive over it, that's power. That's a power that a lot of people I see right now are lacking. They're just like, oh, you don't agree with my views, you got to go. No, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Tell me how you feel about that. Okay. Like,
Well, that's how we learn from each other too. Like we are
mhm.
human beings learn, like historically we learn from each other. We're a social species. So
Yeah.
like even in the most heightened of conversations, and lately it seems to be all around race, and because it has been, I mean, it's not new, but it's ongoing and it's heightened at the moment as well. So people are on the defensive in general. And what would happen if we just sort of did exactly that? Said, okay, well, ask questions, like to learn, to understand. And then it actually creates that dropping of barriers rather than no, I'm in my tower over here, or like, this is the hill I'm on and like, you can't take it from me. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and just having grace, because none of us know everything. It's like the woman that commented, and I was like, look, I love you, so I say this with love. Do not be that do not be that person, but it's less like I understand how easy it is to want to Google things. And then I'm just like, you can't do that for everything. Not when it comes to Black American history, because they really did put everything in books because we weren't allowed to read.
Yeah.
And so you can't just find those things. You know, the stories that my great grandmother could have told you are not going to be things that you find on the internet. And so I was just like, instead of like scolding her or like trying to make her feel like incredibly stupid, like, let's make this a learning lesson. Let me give her some resources,
Mm.
like reputable, like newspaper.com, you know, where they have the archives. And this is how you do this type of research. This is how you find out about this type of stuff. Not look something up, and then if you don't see something that supports your claim in the first 3 search results, like
Nation bias as well. So like when someone says to someone like, well, just Google it, it's like, but that's the issue, is that we're only getting our information from what we're searching for, rather than like maybe a little bit of guidance on, oh, this is where I should be looking, or not should, this is where I could be looking. This is where I could be looking if I want to actually understand this on a deeper level, rather than on something that is skewed with my confirmation bias, or skewed with bias of other people that have written it, like, you know, that kind of thing. It's just that,
Mhm.
that sharing, so that people can learn and actually learn, instead of just reinforce the same old things.
Yeah, I have to have this conversation often with my husband, just because like he's trying to learn, because my husband is white.
Yeah.
And it, you know, we had to have a conversation yesterday. I'm like, just because a group of scholars came out of nowhere trying to say, it's like, no, that's not how this works. Like, honey, you're gonna have to dig deeper. You're gonna have to dig deeper. You're gonna have to dig deeper than this. You can't just be listening. I was like, this is exactly how this works. When
Mm.
they want to, you know, change the narrative on something, all they need is a group of scholars to show up and say, oh, well, technically what we think actually happened was, shut up. That's not what happened. Oh my gosh.
uh,
Yeah, I have grace for, I really do. I really have grace for everybody. I want everybody to start giving themselves grace. Oh my gosh, that's such a big thing. And I tell people, even for like the simplest things, like, oh, I didn't do my check-in our Facebook group. Girl, it is okay. Give yourself some grace. Like, it is, the group did not burn down. Everybody's still living. We're good. We're healthy. Okay, we're vibrant. Yes, everybody drinking some water. We're good. Calm down. Oh my gosh. Just everybody just give yourself some grace for whatever it is. Because again, I know my mentors they get so irritated with me. Because when we're on group calls and they'll be like, oh, you know, do you have, you know, do you have any questions? I was like, well, you already know that I never have questions because I just don't know what I don't know.
yeah.
So I just don't know what I don't know. So I'll just tell you where I'm at and we could just go from there. Because because it's like, I want to be open to receiving what I didn't know I needed to receive. And sometimes I might block that by asking a question that's like, I'm asking a question just to kind of be asking that question, where it's like, if I just share where I'm at, then someone could say, oh, this is what I'm picking up from what you're saying. And my mentors be like, girl, everybody else asked the question. Hey, here you go.
No, I completely agree with you, because we don't know what we don't know. So sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
don't know what the question is that we want to ask, but we can feel that
Mm-hmm.
gap in information, right? Like,
Yeah.
going, well, where do I need to be looking? So yeah, share where you're at more often, rather than going, I need to know this. It's like, well, where are you at first?
That's why when I would host like the group calls, at least for like the YouTube students, it was like, you were getting a turn whether you asked for one or not.
Yeah.
Hey, Jillian, how you doing? Any updates? What's going on? Like, you've been quiet. Like, I'll call you out, because a lot of times what always ended up happening was it was the person who didn't have a question. And then once we're going through and they're like, oh, well, you know what? Now that we're talking about this, actually, like, there it is. Come on. What you got for me? You know? So everybody got to get off the call feeling fulfilled and getting what they needed, even if they didn't know they needed it when they got on the call. Because
Yeah,
nobody ever knows what they don't know.
exactly. I
You
feel
put that on a t-shirt.
yeah, like as leaders of ourselves, but also leaders like whether you're a coach or a manager in a corporate, like it doesn't matter. Like as leaders for others, I think it's almost like this responsibility to allow that space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
When I used to work, because I kept getting fired from everywhere. It was tough kind of also living like in the South, because I did lose a job because they were looking for all American girls, which was code word for white. But you know um I always had this way about me where my other coworkers felt like they could come to me, um and I think, not knowing back then that I was really like an empath and highly intuitive, um they would come in and I could just read them.
mm,
And I hate to say, like, managers didn't care. Just shut your ass up, get back here and do what you're supposed to be doing. But like I'd be like, hey, are you okay? Like you look a little mad in the face. You're looking a little mad in the face right now. Like, do you need what I'm saying? And then because I was that person for them, then like if they really did need to like take a step away, if they needed to make a phone call or like deal with something, or just like they would be like, hey, Kiana, can you like just watch this for me really quick? And I would be happy to do it, because at the end of the day, it's like we're all a team. And if one person is like falling short, then we're all going to start falling short. And a lot of the times it could be due to something that's like simple for them to be able to kind of go deal with. I watched a quick video on Instagram by Damon John, um, who is the founder of like Fubu, and
oh, yeah.
um, yeah. And he was talking about his first assistant. This story was so powerful to me. It was a story about his first assistant, and she was like coming in late and all this other stuff. And he's just looking at the fact that because she's not in the office at 9 o'clock, you know calls are coming in, and these could be calls for people wanting to place orders. So how much money is he losing? And da da da. And he went on his rant. He went on his rant, and his friend stopped him and was like, have you asked her what's going on in her life? Like, have you just asked her?
Mm,
Because he was on the verge of firing her. And he's like, no, but she's supposed to be she's supposed to be in at 9 o'clock. So it's like he wasn't quite getting it just yet. And then he finally approached her, and he finally had a conversation with her, and he discovered that she was like the caretaker for her sick mom.
mm,
And that was why she was late. And so from there, he was able to allow her to come in later. And then he hired someone else to come in early and just work those few hours.
mhm,
And it's just like the fact that, again, he was ready to fire her. And all it took was for him, as the leader of his company, to just stop and say, this is a human being, not a robot. Is there anything going on with you? And how can I help? And he said that she went on to be his best employee ever,
mhm.
because he just took the time to care.
And it doesn't take much. You,
It does not take much.
yeah. Oh, I think that's a really good point to finish on. Thank you so much for joining me and
Yeah.
this time in this space with all of that wisdom and all of those insights and all of those joy bubbles as well. So
I love joy bubbles. I should have brought the Frenchie on.
so thank you so, so much. I really appreciate your time and your wisdom and your energy and yeah, and the value that you've shared here as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.